Title: The Killer Couple Who Lived Like Everyone Else. The Quietest Street in Pinecrest. Before we dive in, hit subscribe, leave a comment, and turn on notifications, because the story you're about to hear will make you question everyone you think you know. It started on a Sunday morning in Pinecrest, a peaceful suburban neighborhood just outside Miami. The kind of place where neighbors waved from their driveways, where sprinklers ticked rhythmically at dawn, and where nothing truly bad was ever supposed to happen. But that illusion shattered the moment the first police cruiser screeched onto Magnolia Drive. At exactly 6:47 a.m., a frantic 911 call came from a woman's voice, shaking, breathless, whispering, "He's not moving, there's blood everywhere." Then silence. When officers arrived, the home at 421 Magnolia was wide open. Inside, the air smelled faintly of bleach and something metallic. In the living room, a man lay face down on the rug, his white dress shirt soaked in deep crimson. His name was Dr. Aaron Vance, a respected local dentist known for his perfect smile, his charity work, and his beautiful wife, Lena. At first glance, it looked like a home invasion gone wrong: drawers pulled open, jewelry scattered, a broken vase near the stairs. But Detective Rosa Martinez noticed something that didn't fit. No forced entry. No sign of struggle. And the bleach, too specific, too deliberate. Whoever did this wasn't panicking. They were cleaning. Neighbors began to gather outside, whispering in disbelief. One of them, Mrs. Reynolds, a retired teacher, told police that she'd heard shouting the night before. A man's voice. Then a woman's. But she'd brushed it off. The Vances were known to argue sometimes, like any couple. They loved each other, she said. They were normal. Except, as detectives would soon learn, normal was the last word anyone would use to describe what had been happening inside that perfect house. By noon, Lena Vance was sitting in an interrogation room at the Pinecrest Police Department. Her hands trembled as she clutched a styrofoam cup of coffee. She looked shattered, mascara streaked, voice cracking. She said she'd gone for a run at 6 a.m. and returned to find her husband dead. Detective Martinez leaned forward. "Where did you run?" "Down to the lake and back," Lena said. "Anyone see you?" I don't know." But they would later check, and no one had seen Lena running that morning. Not one security camera, not one jogger. While forensics combed through the house, investigators found something unusual in the couple's bedroom: 2 passports, $10,000 in cash, and a set of printed plane tickets, one from Miami to Zurich, dated for the following night. Both in the names Lena and Aaron Vance. A detective muttered, "Why would someone planning an overseas trip be killed the day before?" Then came the first major break. On Aaron's desk, beneath a stack of patient records, police found a sealed envelope addressed to Detective R. Martinez. The letter inside contained just 5 words, typed neatly in black ink. "If I'm dead, ask Lena." The news spread fast: local dentist murdered in Pinecrest home. Reporters swarmed the quiet cul-de-sac. Friends described Aaron as calm, generous, soft-spoken. No one could understand how someone could hate him enough to kill him. But when investigators dug deeper into his financials, they found something darker. 3 months before his death, Aaron had transferred nearly $400,000 from his business account into an offshore fund, under Lena's name. When questioned, Lena said she didn't know anything about it. Yet, her fingerprints were on every document. Martinez started to suspect that this wasn't a random killing, it was something planned. Something intimate. The autopsy confirmed it: Aaron Vance had been sedated before being stabbed. The tranquilizer in his system was a veterinary drug, not something you find in a typical household. But Lena had volunteered at a local animal rescue. She had access. The picture was forming. The caring wife. The financial motive. The calm cleanup. Still, Detective Martinez didn't have enough to charge her, until one of the neighbors handed over a Ring doorbell clip from 5:02 a.m. that morning. It showed Lena's black SUV pulling out of the driveway, but not her driving it. The figure behind the wheel was a man. The discovery turned the case on its head. If Lena wasn't alone, then who was with her? When questioned again, Lena claimed she'd been helping a friend, Daniel. He was just someone I met through a real estate group. But records told a different story. Daniel Reyes wasn't just a friend. He was Lena's ex-boyfriend, a man with a history of fraud and assault. Police traced his phone to a motel off Route 41, just 30 minutes from the Vance home. By the time they got there, the room was empty. Bed still warm, TV on, window open. On the nightstand sat a half-empty bottle of sleeping pills and a printed receipt for bleach, garbage bags, and gloves. And on the back of the motel door, a single photograph taped there. Lena and Daniel. Smiling. Kissing. By the third day, media labeled it the killer couple case. Headlines painted Lena as a femme fatale who seduced her lover into killing her husband. But Martinez wasn't convinced it was that simple. Something about the evidence felt staged, too neat, too cinematic. The letter from Aaron. The photo. Even the bleach bottle, placed right where detectives would find it. Then came a new development. Forensics pulled a partial fingerprint from the inside of Aaron's desk drawer, the one containing the plane tickets. It didn't match Aaron. It didn't match Lena. And it didn't match Daniel Reyes. Whoever it belonged to had been inside that house before the murder. And when detectives ran it through the federal database, a hit came back that made every officer in that room go silent. It was from a suspect connected to an unsolved homicide in Naples, 2 years earlier. The suspect's name? Aaron Vance. The ghost in the marriage. If you think you know what's coming, you don't. Subscribe and stay to the end, because every secret in this story was hiding in plain sight. Detective Rosa Martinez sat in the dim light of her office, the fingerprint report spread open in front of her. She had read it 3 times already, and each time, it made less sense. The print found inside Aaron Vance's desk, the one that should have belonged to the killer, matched the biometric profile of Aaron himself. But it wasn't from his recent records. It was from a sealed case file, dated 2018. Naples, Florida. Homicide victim, Eric Latham. Prime suspect, Aaron Vance, missing, presumed dead. Martinez whispered under her breath, "What the hell?" The revelation tore open a new theory: the man lying dead in the Vance living room might not have been Aaron Vance at all. The real Aaron could have died years ago, replaced by someone who stole his identity. But if that was true, then who had been living in Pinecrest for the last 4 years? She ordered an emergency DNA cross-check using samples from the victim's toothbrush and blood. When the results came back, the truth hit like a hammer: the dead man wasn't Aaron Vance. His real name was Jacob Hall, a con artist wanted for embezzlement and identity theft across 3 states. The man had faked his death in Naples, assumed a new name, married Lena under false identity, and built a picture-perfect suburban life, until someone exposed him. The news rocked the department. Detective Martinez called Lena back in for questioning. This time, the woman's composure cracked. Her eyes were bloodshot, her hands restless. "You're saying my husband wasn't who he said he was?" she whispered. Martinez nodded. "His real name was Jacob Hall. He's been living under an alias since 2019. You didn't know?" Lena's expression hardened. "Of course I didn't. He told me his parents died in a car accident. He told me he never wanted to talk about his past." Martinez watched her closely. There was anger there, but also something else. Relief. She leaned forward. "When did you meet Daniel Reyes?" 2 years ago. We were together before I met Aaron. I mean, Jacob. Did Daniel know who your husband really was?" Lena hesitated, then shook her head. "No. He didn't. He hated him, but he didn't know him." Martinez didn't believe her. Later that night, when investigators raided Daniel Reyes's motel room a second time, they found something new, a burner phone wedged between the mattress and the wall. On it, dozens of text messages between Lena and Daniel, encrypted but retrievable. "He's lying to you," one message read. "You know what we have to do."
Another, timestamped 2 days before the murder. "Plane tickets are ready. After it's done we leave together." The evidence looked damning. To the public, it was a crime of passion, a jealous lover and a desperate woman eliminating the obstacle between them. But Martinez still couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. If Lena and Daniel planned the murder, why leave so many obvious traces behind? The photo, the bleach, the letter? And how did Jacob's fake identity fit into all this? Digging into old financial records, Martinez found a disturbing pattern. Every few years, Aaron, or Jacob, would move to a new city, open a new dental clinic under a slightly different name, and quietly disappear once the business grew successful. The money would be transferred offshore, the business sold, the man gone. It was a cycle of reinvention, identity after identity, life after life. And now, it looked like Lena had finally discovered the truth. The case took another turn when technicians restored security footage from a nearby intersection camera. At 4:58 a.m. on the morning of the murder, Jacob's SUV passed through the frame, but the passenger wasn't Lena. It was Daniel. And in the back seat, barely visible in the dark, was a third figure. Someone smaller, slender, wearing a hood. The timestamp proved that 3 people had left the house that morning, but only one came back. When police confronted Lena with the footage, she broke. Tears streamed down her face. "You don't understand. I didn't plan this. I didn't even know who he really was until it was too late." Martinez asked quietly, "Then who's the third person in the car?" Lena stared at the table, voice trembling. "His daughter." The room went silent. Jacob Hall, or Aaron Vance, had a teenage daughter from his first marriage, hidden under a new identity just like him. 15-year-old Claire Hall had been reported missing 3 years earlier in Texas, before her father's supposed death. The FBI got involved immediately. If Claire had been in that car, she could hold the key to everything, but there was no record of her ever arriving at school, work, or any known location after that morning. Now the case was no longer a local homicide. It was a manhunt for a missing girl tied to a fake identity, a murdered father, and a manipulative couple caught in a web of deceit. 2 days later, investigators located the SUV abandoned behind an industrial warehouse on the outskirts of Miami. Inside, blood smears lined the back seat. The fingerprints matched Claire's. But there was something else on the passenger floor, a folded piece of paper, scrawled in shaky handwriting. "You don't know what he did to us." The message turned everything upside down. Was Jacob Hall the real monster? Had Lena and Daniel killed him out of revenge, or out of fear? And if Claire had written that note, was she a victim, or an accomplice? Detective Martinez stood over the evidence board in her office. Photos, timelines, maps, but no matter how she rearranged them, the story never added up cleanly. Then came the final blow. An anonymous package arrived at the station, postmarked from Naples, the same city where Jacob had first faked his death. Inside was a USB drive. When the file opened, the room fell silent. It was footage, grainy, timestamped from 3 years ago. It showed a man who looked exactly like Jacob Vance, standing in a dimly lit garage. He was arguing with someone behind the camera, a woman's voice, angry, trembling. Then a gunshot. The camera fell. The last image before the screen cut to black was Jacob's bloodied face, and the unmistakable reflection of the shooter in a broken mirror. It wasn't Lena. It was Claire. The truth buried in plain sight. If you've made it this far, you already know. Every perfect life hides a perfect lie. Subscribe before the next story drops, because the ending of this one will stay with you forever. The footage from the USB drive played on loop in the Pinecrest precinct. Every time the screen flickered, every frame of blood and panic, the truth became harder to deny. 3 years before his death, Jacob Hall had been shot by his own daughter, Claire. But if that were true, then who was the man lying dead in Pinecrest? And how had Jacob resurfaced years later, alive under a new name, married to a woman who apparently knew nothing? Detective Rosa Martinez replayed the scene for the 15th time, her mind mapping timelines against alibis. Something about the sequence felt off. The reflection in the mirror, it wasn't clear. The figure was small, yes, but distorted. And if the footage was real, why would someone mail it now, just days after Jacob's supposed murder? The timing was too perfect. Martinez sent the clip to the FBI's digital forensics unit. Within hours, confirmation came back. The footage had been doctored. Someone had spliced together real video from the Naples disappearance with synthetic edits, designed to implicate Claire. It wasn't proof. It was bait. Meanwhile, the media devoured the story. The double life of Dr. Vance, the headline screamed. The killer couple and the missing girl. The Vance home had become a landmark of morbid curiosity, with people driving by just to snap photos of the yellow police tape. In the middle of the chaos, Lena Vance sat alone in her holding cell, staring at the floor. When Martinez walked in, Lena didn't look up. "Someone's trying to rewrite this story," Martinez said softly. "If you want to live, tell me everything." Lena finally spoke, voice brittle as glass. "He told me his name was Aaron," she began. "We met at a charity gala. He was charming, successful, the kind of man who made you feel safe. For the first year, everything was perfect. Then one night he woke up screaming someone's name. Claire." She swallowed hard. "I thought it was a dream. But then I found photos, old ones hidden behind the false panel of his closet. Him, a woman and a girl. I confronted him and he told me everything. He said he'd been someone else. That he had a daughter. That they were gone because of him." "What did he mean by that?" Martinez asked. Lena hesitated. "He said he did something to her mother. That's why he ran. That's why he changed everything." Martinez's pen hovered above her notepad. "You believed him?" Lena nodded. "Until the letters started coming. Over the next few weeks, someone had been sending letters to the Vance home. No return address, no signature. Each one contained a single photograph of Jacob and Claire. Different cities. Different years. Each marked with the same phrase, "You can't bury blood." At first, Lena thought it was a stalker. Then she found one of the letters open on Jacob's desk. The same desk where he'd left that cryptic message for detectives. "If I'm dead, ask Lena." "I think he knew someone was coming for him," Lena whispered. "And he wanted me to take the blame." "Who sent the letters?" Martinez pressed. Lena met her eyes. "Claire." The search for Claire intensified. The FBI traced her last known movements using the motel receipt, the security footage and ATM withdrawals. Then finally they caught a break. A gas station clerk in Homestead, Florida recognized her photo. "She came in 2 days ago," the clerk said. "Bought a prepaid phone, water and protein bars. Said she was heading north." Agents pulled highway camera data, and there she was, Claire Hall, alive, driving Daniel Reyes's blue sedan toward Georgia. At dawn, a state patrol unit spotted the car parked outside a rest stop near Tallahassee. The officers approached slowly, weapons lowered. Inside the car, the driver's seat was empty. But in the passenger seat sat a burner phone, still recording a voice memo. Martinez pressed play. Claire's voice filled the room. "Come, Cole. He killed my mother. He said it was an accident, but I saw the truth. He buried her behind our house in Naples. He told me if I ever told anyone he'd kill me too. So I ran. Changed names. Waited. Watched. When I found out he was pretending to be someone else, married, smiling like nothing happened, I couldn't let him start over. Not again. So yes, I went back. But I wasn't the only one." The recording crackled with static. Then a new voice, male, rough, angry. "You said we'd end it together, Claire?" Daniel Reyes. "We did," Claire replied. "You just don't remember it yet." A muffled gunshot followed. Then silence. Police found Daniel's body that afternoon, hidden beneath a bridge 5 miles from the rest stop. A single bullet to the chest. No sign of Claire. Lena was released a week later, pending further investigation. She left Pinecrest quietly, moving out of state under a new name. The Vance house was sold, the dental clinic shuttered, and the case officially labeled unsolved. But Detective Martinez couldn't let it go. She kept one copy of the case file on her desk, the photograph of the 3 of them, Jacob, Lena, and the missing girl. A month later, a package arrived at the precinct, no return address. Inside was a Polaroid. It showed a roadside diner somewhere in the Midwest. In the background, sitting at the counter, was Lena, hair shorter, glasses on, face half-turned. And behind her, holding a cup of coffee and smiling faintly at the camera, was Claire. On the back of the photo, written in neat cursive, were just 3 words. "You were right." To this day, no one knows what happened to Claire Hall or where she went. Some believe she killed her father and disappeared into a new life. Others whisper she and Lena made peace, 2 women bound by the same man's lies, rebuilding under new names. Detective Martinez never reopened the case officially. But every so often she receives a postcard. Different cities. Same handwriting. Always signed the same way. The killer couple who lived like everyone else. If you thought this story was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Subscribe now because the next case starts where this one ends.